about your
Ask my past life. Because they understand the religious aspects of it. Hi, I'm Em. What? You just got your belly out. I'm holding my fat belly. And I'm lit. And we're doing PsycKicks. This is our third video for today. Can you tell? Today we're talking about... Today we're going to be talking about the pyramids in Egypt. The ancient pyramids. From like a couple thousand years ago.
The big triangles.
And if you guys are new to our channel, we're psychic mediums, twin flames, best friends, and obnoxious people that like to tell bad jokes with ADHD. So, buckle up. If you're into metaphysical, paranormal, spiritual stuff, this is for you. Okay, with a twist. A really satirical, funny, comical twist.
Yeah, that
not
twist
serious.
Is me talking to Egyptians.
So today we're going to be doing another episode of Psychic Chicken, and if you guys don't know, Psychic Chicken is where one of us does the research for things like a normal person, and the other person knows absolutely nothing and has to use their psychic abilities as a medium to communicate with whatever is around that's related to what we're talking about to get some information about it. And there's a lot of things surrounding the Egyptian pyramids, and we're going to figure out what they are. So let's get into it. Yeah. We're not mature enough to do this.
I mean, we did Bigfoot. Bigfoot sounds like a more funny topic.
Bigfoot was a fun topic. So currently Emily is writing the things down that pop into her head as a medium about the pyramids. I asked her who built the pyramids, and we both screamed aliens.
Aliens!
And we're gonna get into that later, so don't just immediately click off because we said aliens, please.
No, they probably are clicking on. You're the only one that would click off. I told people that you have a weird thing with aliens.
I do.
It's funny because you thought that it was just me asking, no, that everyone's asking. But what's also funnier is you've talked to aliens, but would like to deny that.
Only thing that I can think about though when we say aliens is literally the episode of SpongeBob where we're like, aliens! They put everyone in Bikini Bottom into a spaceship. Who are you talking to?
I honestly think I'm talking to a goddamn deity.
Well, that would... If you're talking to a deity and we're talking about pyramids, that would actually make a lot more sense.
Oh, okay. They have one of those Egyptian mask things.
Their heads?
Like the jackals. And then it looks like this.
Are they a deity or are they associated with the pyramid itself?
Are you asking if they're a pharaoh? Is there a deity that's a jackal?
I love it, yes.
It's that one, because they have jackal legs.
Ah! That's adorable. I'm fucking stoked about this. I also love Egyptian deities because I have talked to a few of them on brief occasions during psychic medium readings because they were associated to the people I was talking to, my clients, and they're always a pleasure to talk to.
Yeah, I'm talking to a jackal deity. Because I don't know if the Egyptians necessarily knew all of the things that they were doing when they made the pyramids. But these people were very much more connected to energy than we are.
Oh, for sure. I think when they built the pyramids, they did it with a lot of insight and understanding already about the energetic placement and spiritual importance of the pyramids, but they also were very much guided by the gods too.
Well, ley lines for me, I had a soul explain it to me, which is interesting because animals follow ley lines but they don't know they're doing it. People follow ley lines but they don't know they're doing it. It's basically, the way they describe it to me is, how does a salmon know where to go to breed? How does a bird know where to go to migrate? There's this little sensor in their head that senses the energy of the world, the earth, whatever, and it leads them to different places. Those are how the energy moves throughout the earth, which is considered a ley line. So the pyramids were put in a certain position associated to the different ley lines of existence of the earth. So that's why I asked you if they're placed in a certain way, because does the sunlight go inside of them? Like light? And bounces off of things?
It also has a spiritual importance too.
The orientation of the pyramids line up with these ley lines.
That makes so much sense.
And a lot of people are going to think that ley lines don't have any physical representation. Spirituality is mirrored in physicality. So what that means is, for example, the energy of the earth itself could be determined by like the rivers of the earth or the tectonic plates of the earth. That's how the energy is they can't say this word today. Through the earth.
Okay.
So we follow these lines because we are a part of the earth's energy, so we inherently follow those things. However, these ley lines are determined not only by the way in which things on earth move, but also by how the earth itself interacts with us on a spiritual level. So we are dictated by the little sensor in our brain saying, we have to follow this energy signature. But also, if we were to make a path here next to a ley line, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, this would also create a ley line eventually. It is a movement of energy.
Like, how do you make that hard? How many people are associated with the pyramids?
In what way? Because there's people that built them, but there's people that are put inside of them. And then there's reasons why they were built in the first place.
All of them.
And then there's also
what are the reasons they were built in the first place? What does your jackal-headed friend say?
I don't know. Something associated to like the afterlife. Does that make sense? Because that's what I was trying to ask you before.
I'm so fucking excited. I can't believe you're talking to a goddamn Egyptian deity.
Yeah, because
dude, they're so cool, and they're very like level-headed about everything at all points in time.
Does the pyramid go underground?
Yes.
Interesting. Because I see like tunnels down here.
Oh yeah. Wow.
I should probably write what these are because I'm not going to remember any of this. This is going to be a fucking fever dream. This is not happening.
This is exciting. I'm excited.
Energy. I literally am drawing a goddamn picture because this god speaks in pictures.
Yeah, because maybe they had hieroglyphs as their language.
God damn it!
I love this. This is great. I really hope people that are from Egypt that are Egyptian watch this and enjoy it in some form or facet.
Okay.
So I just want to talk about the fact that I've never felt like I've had an Egyptian past life before until you asked me about this.
Oh, today? Oh, you mean when I told you to research pyramids?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have an Egyptian past life.
I think I have 2.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. And it makes me happy because I've always been like a little off-put by the fact that like I've talked to Egyptian deities and I'm like, I don't know anything about you. However, this is cool as shit. So anyways, I just wanted to talk about that because I feel like having that sort of closed-minded, gatekeepy mindset is really what causes a lot of barriers, and not just society, but spirituality in and of itself.
So, I'm talking to this jackal deity. Because
their head is of a jackal and their body is of a person.
no, their legs are jackal, they're backwards.
Interesting.
Like their knees bend backward because they have jackal legs.
I'm sure it could look like
But they're
that.
personified because they're standing on 2 legs. And they have the like, I don't know what this is called, the headdress thing that Egyptians wear, pharaohs wear.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have the jackal mask. So this is a deity that I'm talking to, because I was like, I'm gonna talk to a person, but also it's easier for me to talk to gods for whatever reason. So they show me that this pyramid is placed in a certain direction in regards to, they want me to say the polarities of the earth, but also the sun and how the light will pass through different parts of the pyramid of itself. But it sits on different ley lines and is sort of like an epicenter of energy. So to me, the way that they explain it, or way that I am getting it, is that this may be associated to how they picture opening up gateways to like the afterlife in that sort of manner. They also show me that the pyramids have like tunnels underneath it, and that helped to explain that they're going to the underworld or the afterlife. But that would also make sense if they're putting like bodies in there to be preserved, because it would be colder. But there's like different tunnels that are underneath the pyramids, as well as there's like holes or different aspects of getting the light inside, because that moves the energy throughout this one little triangle space. The reason why it's a triangle is because it's the strongest shape, but it also, they want me to say it's how a whole bunch of different energies connect in order to create a certain, they want me to say like a pitch of sound or a different energy frequency, because they show me multiple frequencies of energy coming into the pyramid, and them being able to use the energy for different elements of worship, of different like spiritual things, and that can be associated to the afterlife, but I also feel like they do use it for other things. Liv also asked me if they were near things. I see them near water. She also asked if who built them. Obviously aliens did. No, I think people built them. However, I don't think the people knew why they were building them. However, there's a lot more to the why than they are actually realizing, because again, they are affected by the ley lines of the location. So they built the things in a specific place based on the ley lines that they may or may not be aware of, and they built it in a certain way based on the way the energy moves and how the deities that they were talking to were able to give them the information and surrounding how to do certain things. But they are more open to those sort of energies than most people are today. And then I drew a giant slug. So you got any other things that I missed?
Oh, ask them about how do they travel to and from the afterlife. And if it seems simple, that's okay.
They're telling me about different ideas that I know about Japanese religion. Do they do certain rituals in order to allow the person to go through the, how do I want to explain this? They did certain rituals in order to be able to lead them to the afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
So in Japanese culture, if you are unable to do these rituals, sometimes you would get stuck here because you are unable to go through your like traumas, your things that would restrict you from leaving. So they're talking about they did certain rituals in order to allow the soul and body to pass on.
That's true. Do they have use any sort of structure to do this, like physical structure?
Oh, well, yeah. I don't know what that is, though. They want me to say many things.
That's okay. I just learned about this stuff and it literally made so much sense to me and I just love it. Okay, ready?
Are they going through certain pathways? Because they're telling me that it's like, they're telling me it's like a video game in the sense of when you create a level design, it allows the player to go through the level without getting lost in it.
Yeah, but when you go through the level... Oh, you're talking about like the layout.
Yeah, because they're telling me there's certain things that led them through the pyramid so that they could get through, but other people can't interfere.
Yeah. Alright, let's get into the historical facty facts of the pyramids in a very very simplified way, and touch on the things that Em talked about, and then we'll also talk about the conspiracy theories. But there is going to be a notation that the conspiracy theories, as Em and I are psychic mediums, do not believe. And if we do believe it at any point in time that aliens or Atlanteans made the pyramids, we will let you know. But until then, no.
Yeah, that's interesting. Why did they think that? Because they were a part of a time where it couldn't be documented?
There's a couple of different reasons, but none of them are very good.
Interesting.
So, you were talking to a jackal deity. That is the god called Anubis.
Ah!
And Anubis is the deity who played an important role in mummifying Egyptians when they died.
Oh, I knew the name Anubis, but I didn't know that he was the jackal dude.
Yeah, I didn't know either. And I thought maybe you were talking to like one of the because when you were a king or a pharaoh, you would have like the people that worked for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking maybe it was one of the people that were in there that worked for the pharaoh or the king.
No,
but no, you were talking to Anubis.
Yeah, that was his way of telling me that he was not a person, is because his legs bend backwards like a jackal.
And in some depictions, that's how he's depicted.
Really?
So I think it's funny because pyramids are specifically used as places of worship as well as burial grounds for important people that were Egyptian. So he's like, this is my place, yo! Let me tell you about it. Oh, and when people are mummified, there are certain like rituals and chants and incense and things that are used in the
I know that they
mummification process.
mummify things and they like remove organs and certain things like that, but they also do rituals associated to like more mental things in order to cross them over, similar to how they do in Japanese culture.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, which is cool because you literally were talking about it. That's something I learned 2 days ago.
Oh well. Yeah, they told me that.
Okay, so I got this from the Smithsonian. So this is the information from the Smithsonian. But Em was talking about like the Great Three Pyramids, like the Pyramid of Giza, etc. However, before the big 3 Great Pyramids that we know about today, there were other pyramids that were built, and they all started out as much smaller structures known as mastabas. And if I'm saying that wrong, I'm sorry. But tombs of early Egyptian kings were bench-shaped mounds called mastabas, meaning bench in Arabic. However, culturally speaking, when I say the word bench, you're probably like thinking about a park bench, but that's not what they looked like. They were like, here, I'll show you a picture.
They look like a plateau.
They look like a bar of gold, yeah. But I guess back then, to make benches for people to sit on, they would just make smaller versions of that shape, like a bar of gold, and that's what you would sit on and put your little feetsies on. Yeah. So that's what mastaba means. And the description is that it is an underground burial chamber with an above ground offering chapel comprised of so it's an underground like mausoleum basically for all of the white people. And above ground there's a chapel and an area for worship and leaving things as offerings for the person that was buried there. And then underground is where they would put the actual remains or mummification of the people. So those are what the mastabas are, what the ancient kings were buried in, basically, and other people. So depending on your status and whatever place in society. But they were comprised of unfired rectangular mud brick or stone, and they had a flat top and then the sloping sides with a base that's bigger than the top. So if we were to go into a simple mastaba, there would be a real door to enter the structure. So that would be like the top of it, and this is where the door to the entrance would be. And then you would walk in, and there would be a chapel right here, and you could have offerings. Then there would be like a little peephole right here, and then you'd have statues of people sitting right there.
Great, now show them.
Yeah. So you can do it. This is the top, like the shape of a mastaba. So it has a flat top, sloping sides, and a bottom that's bigger. And if you were looking at it from an aerial view, here's the entrance to the actual mastaba itself. Here would be the chapel with like an offering table. Many times this was just a wall behind the offering table with either a small peephole or like a little tiny area for people to enter in, but most of the times it was completely closed off. And then through the peephole or the little tiny entrance that would be small for people, you would see the individual who is buried there underground. You would see their ka. So their ka is basically, their ka is their statue or the physical embodiment of their soul for people to look at, and it would be a representation of what that picture or what that person was in life. Isn't that cool? Okay, so if you were to go into a simple mastaba, there would be a real door to enter the structure, and this door would open to the mastaba's chapel. In the chapel, there would be an offering table, a false door, and a wall dividing the chapel from the mastaba's serdab. So the serdab is the room in which the ka, or the statues that represent the souls of the people buried there, is sitting. So false doors, which is what I was trying to tell you about, trying to get you to say about how they travel places.
False doors?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
So false doors are characterized by a receded surface with a symbolic entrance in its center and are used for the souls of the deceased to travel freely to and from their tomb. So like,
where are the false doors? What do you mean by false door?
The false doors, I'll just show you.
Are you talking about the false doors that prevent tomb raiders to come?
No, it's false doors for the souls, because I thought that's what it meant too, like a trap door. Trap doors and false doors, completely
or is it like
different.
A door like in the Winchester Mansion?
No, it's just
where
a
it just
false.
Goes to nowhere.
It doesn't go to nowhere. So false doors are literally just, they look like doors, but they have inscriptions on them about like the person and where they want to go and like things that they did in life.
Okay.
And that is their spiritual representation of going in and out of their tomb and in and out from the spiritual world.
Oh, that's what they were trying to explain to me.
Yes, with the video games. False doors. So like you go in there and there's this big giant inscription on the wall that's slightly receded with all these pictures and details.
Yeah, because it's not a door.
No. It's a door for them, but not a door for us.
No, it's not a door for them either.
What is it then?
It's like a video game.
They told me, well...
They created a story, you went through the story. Right? That's what you're talking about, is inscribed on the door. This is a story.
Correct. It's a story about the things that they want to take, as far as I understand, and I could be wrong, but it is a story of the things that they want to take from their life of the living and move it into the afterlife. It is their like depiction of an ideal afterlife and the things that they want to take from the physical world to there. But it's like a depiction of their heaven, kind of.
That it's like a video game in the sense of you have to defeat the video game to get to the afterlife. So there's a lot of different certain rituals and aspects that they have to do in order to get to the other side.
So when you die, according to Egyptian culture, you are mummified, and during the mummification process, the people that are doing it have the certain rituals and stuff that you go through, right?
Yeah.
And then your soul gets judged by two gods. I think it's Osiris, but I could be wrong. And then the crocodile goddess lady.
Yeah.
And what they do is they basically take your heart out. Oh, and when you go to the underworld to be judged by the gods, you aren't in your ka form, which is your human statue form. That's just the physical representation. Your ka, or your soul, actually transforms into what's known as the pa, P-A. And pa is the face representation of what your head looks like, but on a bird's body to be able to travel down to talk to the gods.
Okay.
It just makes me happy.
Yeah, they're saying that they made it look like a door for us because it makes more sense to us, but it helps them with that trial.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's what I'm trying to explain.
Makes a lot of sense.
Because you have to go through... Okay, so for us, our understanding of going to the other side is that you go through summer school with your guides and stuff like that, and they're like, this was your What the Egyptians are doing is the stories that are depicted on the doors are the good parts of their life, or the parts in which would allow them to be judged well so that they could get into the afterlife. So that's why they view it as a door, but it's not a door for them, like the soul. It's just the thing that helps them get to the other side.
Makes sense. I thought it was just a depiction. Yeah, I just thought it, from my basic limited research, I thought it was just a depiction of the things that they wanted to take from life into the afterlife. It could
I
be
also
both.
Didn't do any research.
I know.
I'm talking to a deity, and they're showing me video games, which is why I didn't get a door the first time, because it's a door for physical people, not a door for metaphysical people.
Yeah, I want to make sure this is right. Give me
I
a
have
second.
no idea.
I know, I'm really excited about this.
But, yeah, that's not an answer from me. That is an answer from someone else.
Okay, so yeah, it's Osiris who puts your heart, once your pa gets to the underworld, on the, like, judgment scale, basically, and your heart is judged against the, I think it was like the feather or a feather. The feather has a name, but it's a feather.
Yeah, no, it's I think it's a Marvel thing. I don't know. I watched this TV series, and they put a heart on scale on one side and the feathers on the other side, and they have to be even. If your heart is too heavy, then you don't get into the afterlife.
Yeah. And then...
According to the show that I watched.
No, that's correct.
Okay. The crocodile lady was there.
Yeah. So the crocodile, Osiris is the one that pulls your heart, puts it on the scale, and like moves it with the feather. I think it's like the feather of truth or the feather of light or the feather of justice, something like that. But if your heart doesn't weigh correctly or evenly, if it doesn't balance, then Amit or Amut, who is the crocodile goddess, eats your heart, and then you just can never go into the afterlife.
Yeah.
I guess. But you also have your soul, your pa, is put up against a judge of 42 other gods. Mm-hmm. And they're the ones that are going to, like, dictate also whether or not you lived your life to the correct standards of, like, I didn't steal, I didn't lie, I was a good person, yada, yada, yada. And if they're like, I call bullshit my guy, then you're gonna be screwed.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes me so happy. I really am excited that you're talking to Anubis. I'm gonna die.
It's not me, I'm not here.
The false doors, which are characterized by a receded surface with symbolic entrance in the center, are used for the souls of the deceased to travel freely to and from their tomb. And the serdab, which is the room behind the wall, which is behind the chapel and the offering area when you first walk into the mastaba, is sometimes sealed or sometimes visible by only a small passage or viewing hole, is where the ka, or the statue of the dead, would be placed. So these mastabas were used for a really, really, really long time. And you also need to understand that when we're talking about Egyptian culture in this tense, it is BC, before Christ. And all of us are after Christ. So just, Jesus is not here for right now. He's a spectator. Got it? Okay, cool. So
He's future.
He's future Jesus.
Future Jesus.
Where are you? I'm Jesus from the future. So around 2780 BCE, King Djoser's architect Imhotep built the first pyramid by placing 6 mastabas, each smaller than the first beneath it, in a stack to make a pyramid. So that's how he got that structure.
Mm-hmm.
So he took a single mastaba, placed 6 of them, smaller than the first one, on the top of it to make the first pyramid in 2780 BCE for King Djoser. Like later pyramids, it contains various rooms and passages, including burial chambers of the king, and today this step pyramid stands on the west bank of the Nile River near Memphis. So the very first pyramid, created by Imhotep, is there. You can go look at it, I guess. So the transition from the step pyramid, or just the little 6 mastabas placed on top of each other, to a true smooth-sided pyramid took place during the reign of King Snefru, and he was the founder of the 4th dynasty, which is 2680 to 2560 BCE. So the largest and most famous of all the pyramids is the Great Pyramid at Giza, which was built by Snefru's son Khufu. So originally it stood over 481 feet high, but today it's only 450 feet high. And scientists estimate that its stone blocks average 1 or 2 tons a piece, with the largest weighing as much as 15 tons. 2 other major pyramids were built at Giza for Khufu's son, both Khafre and his successor, which was Menkaure. Also located at Giza is the famous Sphinx, which is a massive statue of a lion with a human head carved from the time of Khafre. So pyramids did not stand alone, but were a part of a group of buildings which included temples, chapels, other tombs, and massive walls. So that's why I asked you if there was stuff around them.
Oh, say that again.
So pyramids did not stand alone, but were a part of a group of buildings which included temples, chapels, other tombs, and massive walls. So it's almost like...
Oh, so that's not already there?
No, it is. It's just all buried under sand.
Oh,
so when we found the pyramids, we're like, look at this giant sand and now this huge pyramid. But if you go underneath 4,000 or 5,000 years of sand, there's actual societies, of people, chapels, temples, necropolis.
Well, I thought that was obvious.
No!
Well, why would they go into the desert, make a huge pyramid, and then leave?
We're gonna get into this.
So long.
We're gonna get
they
into
would have
the
to live
conspiracy
there.
theories.
So I just thought that was obvious. But that's why I told you water, because I was like, well, that's weird that there's water in the middle of a desert-looking thing.
Yeah, I was reading one thing.
Why the civilization was there, because there's water.
Well, there's a lot of people there, and a lot of people are like, well, how did they get people to the middle of the desert? It didn't always look like that.
Clearly, they buried their civilization in sand.
Well, they didn't do it. It just 4,000 years. I mean, in 4,000 years, what would your house look like? Probably the same.
Buried in sand, yeah.
So there has been speculation about pyramid construction. Egyptians had copper tools such as chisels, drills, and saws that may have been used to cut the relatively soft stone, because the pyramid is majorly made out of sandstone on the outside. Granite and stuff was used on the inside, but the hard granite used for burial chamber walls and some of the exterior casings would have posed a more difficult problem, which is why people are like, aliens! There's other reasons that they say aliens, but we'll get to that in a second. Workmen may have used an abrasive powder such as sand and the drills that they had, as well as saws. Knowledge of astronomy was necessary to orient the pyramids to the cardinal points, and water-filled trenches probably were used to level the perimeter.
Yeah, I just thought it was weird that they were showing me water, because I thought that was in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, it's great. And if people are like, you can't use sand and saws to do anything, have you ever heard of power sanding or powder coating stuff with sand? It's the same thing. Anyways, a tomb painting of a colossal statue being moved shows how huge stone blocks were moved on sledges. Sledges are water-filled muck brown holes of dirt that allow things to move easier, I believe. Were moved on sledges over the ground, first made slippery by liquids. The blocks were then brought up ramps to their positions on the pyramid. Finally, the outer layer of the casting stones was finished from the top down and the ramps dismantled as the work was completed. Most of the stone for the Giza pyramids was quarried on the Giza plateau itself. Some of the limestone casings was brought from Tura across the Nile, the river. And a few of the rooms were cased with granite from Aswan. Marks from the quarry workers are found on several of the stone blocks, giving names of the work gangs, such as the Craftsman Gang. Part-time crews of laborers probably supplemented the year-round masons and other skilled workers. The Greek historian Herodotus reported in the 5th century BCE that his Egyptian guides told him 1,000 men were 100,000 men. 100,000 men were employed for 3 months a year for 20 years to build the Great Pyramid. Modern estimates of the number of laborers tend to be much smaller. Pyramid building was at its height from the 4th through the 6th dynasties, and smaller periods continued to be built for more than 1,000 years afterwards. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, man.
So they estimate that the 3 pyramids took anywhere from 20 to 27 years to build.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why you can't just go into the desert and then walk away.
And then just walk away and be like, yeah, this is it.
Why I thought it was obvious that the towns were there. Did the Nile go through it?
I think the Nile was on the outskirts of it.
Got you.
But I read somewhere where they would take the deceased, you know, like, it was not just the pharaohs and the kings, but also their architects, their worksmen, their right-hand men, a lot of priests and, like, religious people would be buried there as well.
That's huge.
Because in the mastabas, sometimes a king or, like, wealthy men would have a mastaba, and then other smaller ones around it where his workmen, like the people of his family and the people that he employed, would be buried around him too. So
interesting.
Yeah, it's cool. We're gonna have a mastaba when we die. I was telling proudly about it.
Yeah, no, I want to go see the pyramids.
I'm about it. We can
Manifestation. Gonna put it on my board. Seeing the pyramids, seeing the northern lights.
I would love it.
Only you could make that happen.
So now let's get into the conspiracy theories, because I know this is why people wanted us to cover this topic, and if you're not one of the people that wanted us to cover it for conspiracy theories, thank you.
You're getting them anyways.
Yeah. So when I thought about the conspiracy theories as just a normal person, you know, potating in the normal world. Potatoes. Gonna potate.
The verb of potate.
Yeah. Potating in the world. I thought, you know, it's just like good fun, happy conspiracy theories, because people are like, oh, these things are so monumental, I just can't fathom the fact that it would
wait,
be
did you
built.
research the like spiritual aspects of the pyramids? Because there's a lot of people that think the pyramids are the center point of a whole bunch of weird spiritual things, but I'm not sure what those things are.
Yeah, I did not.
So if you want that to be our next video, let us know down below.
I can do that.
But I think that's why people are interested in us talking about it. Isn't necessarily about the conspiracy theories that aliens created the pyramids. But I feel like there's a lot of spiritual basis for pyramids, but I'm not sure.
Oh no, it's very, very, very spiritual, very, very religious. Like,
yeah.
Sometimes people get freaked out because in some religions, people are buried standing straight up and facing a certain direction, and they're like, that's weird. But literally, it's just because in that religion, you're supposed to be facing the east, or you're supposed to be facing the west, and you want to be in an upright position so that when you pass, like, they don't think that you just don't do anything, you move on to the afterlife. And I'm not saying the Egyptians do this, but the Egyptians do, as far as I understand, and if I'm wrong, please feel free to constructively correct me. They face the certain, they want to be facing the west, or they need to be facing the east for certain spiritual and religious purposes. Yeah. So these are very, very, very spiritually fueled things because of their culture and their religion.
Yeah, and then there's conspiracy theories based around, like, I don't know, the thing that's on the dollar bill. The Illuminati.
Yeah, but again, we also have to talk about and remember the fact that the pyramids were built BC, before Christ. All these conspiracy theories, every single one of them came AD, except for possibly Plato. But Plato's not necessarily a conspiracy theory. We'll get into that. It is, but it isn't. It's more like some dudes were just hot in Greece and they were drinking wine in the sun and turning into olives.
And they needed to talk about it.
They needed to talk some schmack.
We need to talk some schmack because we're in the desert.
But it is from one of the conspiracy theories. So anyways, let's start with the fact that I didn't know this. I thought everything was just fun and happy-go-lucky. But many of the conspiracy theories can be proved and were related to racism.
Oh, that's what you mean?
Yeah.
Like, so conspiracy theories can be proved?
Because a lot of these conspiracy theories have origins in people who are from very racist backgrounds, ideologies, understandings, whatever. And they devalue or outright exclude the legitimacy of Black people, Indigenous people, and other people of color's histories. They think that these people could not build these things solely based on the fact that they're like, these people could never do this. It has to be rooted in aliens. Only an advanced civilization could create the pyramids. So we're gonna say
an advanced civilization.
So what we think is that aliens could do it. Or
I heard that the pyramids attract aliens.
no, they think
You just like sit on top of the pointy part and wait for them to abduct you. That's what I thought was gonna happen.
no.
It's like, yes!
And the more I looked into it, there are very extreme white supremacist writers that say that the Atlanteans are a race of people that were all white. And they actually were the first people to come to North America and settle it.
Atlanteans.
Yes.
What are Atlanteans? I just imagine a Little Mermaid.
They also think that the Atlanteans settled in Egypt and were the reason, with their sophisticated white power, created the pyramids for the Egyptians or assisted them because they would never be able to do it on their own.
So what?
Exactly.
Interesting. We need to do a video on Atlanteans because I still just only pictured the movie The Little Mermaid. So.
Yeah, so...
The lost city of Atlantis.
And when you see me laughing about these things, it's because I'm uncomfortable.
Because it's ridiculous that people would think that.
Yeah, I read an entire article about how the supreme, like, white supremacy stuff people have all of these things about how the Atlanteans were overpopulated and run by indigenous people.
The Atlantis
No,
people?
there's
Why
not.
Why are people so about it then? There's proof of Egyptians. Like,
Plato.
I don't understand.
Plato.
Yeah.
Plato said once that he was chilling out.
Did he saw one?
No. He was chilling out with some Egyptian priests.
Mm-hmm.
And the Egyptian priests were like, hey, Plato, come here. Come closer. Let me tell you about this place called Atlantis. This is how we built the pyramids. And that was like a couple thousand years after the pyramids were actually built.
Yeah.
So I feel like they were just getting real drunk on wine.
I mean, they're in a desert.
Super hot in the sun. Whether they were in Egypt or Greece, it's hot as shit there.
You want some good stories? Go somewhere in a desert. Everybody is dehydrated. They got some good stories.
But the whole thing is like, usually the conspiracy theories that are around places, according to the people that perceive conspiracy theories as racist, which I never thought was a thing, but after reading this said articles, I was like, that makes sense. I can understand where they're coming from. They only devalue the history of people of color. Because when it comes to Greek and Roman things, all of the white people are like, they could do all of these things. The Parthenons, the Colosseum, mathematics, this is great. But the Egyptians, they could never do that. They need aliens.
There was a conspiracy that the aliens built the pyramids.
Yes.
Which is why when you asked me, I was like, oh, fuck, that's going to be one, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to make sure you weren't going to say aliens. Because if you were, I was going to be like, no, please.
I thought that the conspiracy literally was if we go to the pyramids, we would get abducted by aliens because it's the epicenter of a million spiritual bullshit things.
Oh.
So it would attract, it was like the highway for the spaceships of aliens. That's what I was expecting, but when you were like, oh, were they built? I was like, God damn it, people built them.
Okay, yeah, no, people don't think that the Egyptians built them. They think
I got that after you asked me.
Okay.
But that's dumb.
I'm glad you also think so, but there's a lot of people that don't.
But sorry, if you're one of those people, people built the pyramids. However, we are unclear of if you sit on one, if you will get abducted by aliens.
I mean, instead of going to Egypt though to get abducted by aliens, why don't we just go to Area 51? Just break in. Do you remember when everyone said they were gonna storm Area 51? It's still in a desert. I was thinking, we were talking about things, but I was thinking about deserts and how alien sightings happen in deserts. People are dehydrated. If you're not from America, I just need you to understand that around the same time that people were going to storm Area 51, a couple years, etc., before that, there was evil, murderous clowns happening in America. Do you want to come here now?
No,
But did you like our video on Egyptian pyramids and conspiracy theories and racism?
And if you want to know more about it, let us know, and we'll make another video maybe. So yeah.
On like specific topics, because there's so many specific
Oh, yeah.
things we could go into. But I was like, wow, I didn't know that this was how people viewed these things. I don't know what I'm gonna do now.
So if you guys like this content, make sure to subscribe to the notification bell, and we'll see you next one.
We also do readings, and if you'd like to become a patron for extra content,
Patreon.
they're here. We're your meta PsycKicks. Yeah. Okay, so now that we've gotten that out of the way, please don't tell people that you think aliens built a pyramid, especially if it's for not cool reasons. But if you just want to have a good time and talk about like how birds aren't real too in the same way, that's fine. So anyways, what conspiracy theory do you want to learn about? 1, the pyramids were built to store grain. 2, Noah from Noah's Ark built a pyramid. 3, you want to learn about that one? No, okay. 3,
hear them all.
the Great Pyramid foretells the date of the apocalypse.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
4, Satan built the pyramids.
Ooh, okay, I'm next one. Gotta shop my options.
5, the pyramids were originally just hills.
Oh, that's interesting. That's a good theory.
6, Atlantis built the pyramids. 7, Israel is plotting to steal the pyramids.
Steal them.
It
What
goes
do you
into
mean?
religious things.
Steal them, like push them somewhere else.
Like just steal them legally.
Push them
Legally.
into Israel.
They want to say that they have custody over them
Interesting.
because of their fights with the Jews.
Great.
Literally. Okay, next one. Levitation was used to build the pyramids.
That's a good one too.
9, the pyramids align with the constellation of Orion.
Okay.
10, pyramid power.